Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful. And for the faithful, I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good 6-game winning streak. Six-game winning streak. And I don't know if you've checked out the schedule in late or something. I think it's in March. They have a brutal stretch of games coming. I think they play Boston like 3 times in 2 weeks. And Toronto, and anyway, they've got to make hay while the sun shines. And Bruce, they are doing it. That's the good news. They are doing it. 4-2 win over the Vancouver Canucks tonight, 6th in a row. What are your initial thoughts?
In a row. My initial thoughts was that was a lot tougher than it needed to be.
Yeah.
And the Oilers looked a little bit too home and cooled out at 3-0 for my liking, and they really needed to get that fourth goal, and they finally got it with the empty net, the one that counted. But it was, by then the gap was closed, and Vancouver was bringing it, especially last half of the second and first half of the third. I have to say, once it got to 3-2, and the Oilers took a couple penalties, and I thought, but they not only killed the penalties well, they really killed the rest of the game pretty well after that.
So, Bruce, the Oilers have now 57 points in 48 games. They've tied with the Kings in 48 games played, but they're 1 point ahead of the LA Kings, which is just fantastic news, because I think LA is actually the team. There's just no way Colorado doesn't make the playoffs. I can't see it. So someone who's in a playoff spot
is what you want.
Yeah, someone who's in a playoff spot now is not going to be there. So who's that going to be? And, there's a number of teams in the running. But let me just see who's in the bottom wild card spot as it stands. Colorado is. Calgary's. They're tied with Calgary.
Yeah, Calgary's got... Colorado's got 2 games in hand, so they've got the superior points percentage, and Calgary is hanging on in a tie there because they were able to win their game this afternoon over Tampa Bay, who did the Oilers no favors. Funny how it is, you can root like pretty fervently against a team one night, and then the next night they're in Calgary, and you're going, "Come on, Kucherov!" Actually, I wasn't. I wanted Calgary to give Kucherov a bit of a roughing up, to tell you the truth.
Of all the teams in the race right now, there's only there's 2 with a fairly weak goal differential. Mm-hmm. LA at -9 and Calgary at +5. Mm-hmm. So those would be the 2 that I'm hoping don't make it, with the Oilers at least finishing 3rd in the Pacific. I mean, I think the Oilers can overtake Seattle. I don't think Seattle's a juggernaut, despite their strong record as of late. Bruce, this is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. Because it's just a nice win. Sixth in a row, we'll go with 2 good things each. What's your first good thing?
All right. Well, I got to go with Stu Skinner, who he's had quite a week, David. A week ago tonight, his wife, Chloe, was giving birth to their first son, Bo Stewart Skinner. Looked by the pictures, everything came out all right. And strapping young lad at 7 pounds, 4 ounces, matching Stu's sweater number. So that's a good omen. Then he got named to the All-Star team, rookie, named to the All-Star team for the Pacific Division. And then he finally got his net back tonight after stepping aside for a few games to attend to the birth, and then to watch with a ball cap on while a red-hot Jack Campbell guided the Oilers to 5 straight wins. And now Stewart's back in the net, and he's had a chance to contribute, I thought, in a major way to Edmonton's 6th win in this streak. And he came up with some mighty fine saves in this game. The Oilers were a little sloppy, giving up odd man rushes, especially in the middle frame. He made a great blocker save off of a 2-on-1 that was cross the Royal Road to drill a perfect shot, and he got over and stopped that one. And I just thought he was solid and composed in the net, and right down to the last minute where he stopped a wicked deflection of Bo Horvat. Mid-air deflection from the slot right inside the post on the pad side, and he was stick side, and he was able to get the pad down on that. And this was just seconds before the empty netter that put it away. So he came up big in the clutch, and I just thought he was pretty strong all game, facing 29 shots and stopping 27 of them. And it's nice to see him back without any signs of rust whatsoever. And credit to you, Stu, for playing a big part in tonight's win after all the emotional, mostly ups that you've been through in the recent number of days.
Yeah, the Oilers had 18 grade A shots, which is a high total, but the Canucks had 14. So this was a busy night for Stu Skinner, and there was lots of difficult shots. And and he made, as you say, made a big save right near the end, which was huge, and big saves throughout. Bruce, my first good thing is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Just 2 great assists. They showed them on the replay a lot. If you watch the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. 2 great stretch passes on one on the power play, where he whips it up the ice to Connor McDavid, from just in front of the Oilers' net to the opposition blue line where McDavid is, and McDavid then sets up Hyman. And then the next one is that is an even strength play, and who gets that one? Give me 1 second here. 93. Oh, this one. This one is Draisaitl who scores. He whips it up to Hyman, and Draisaitl puts it in. So he's just. It was actually a just fantastic play by Hyman as well, because he spins at the blue line when he gets the puck, and does a shovel pass to Draisaitl, who just as quick as it comes to him, it's in the net. Kind of a Brett Hull kind of goal, a goal scorer's goal. But a point scorer's pass from Nugent-Hopkins. Again, it went through from his own zone right up to Hyman at the blue line, right along the boards. And what I liked about that pass, Bruce, is Nugent-Hopkins kept faking that he was going to pass the other way. He looked at maybe once, maybe twice, actually, across the ice. And they all thought he was going to pass across, make the safe pass. But he made this. It wasn't a dangerous pass, actually, because it wasn't up the middle of this. It wasn't going to get picked off likely, but it was right up the boards and right onto Hyman's stick.
Right on the blue line.
Yeah. So he's always been a fantastic passing hockey player, and he showed it again tonight. He now has 57 points in 48 games. His career high is 69 points in 82 games. That's from 2018-19. That's not the year he was on the dynamite line, is it? I don't believe it is. 2018-19?
No, it was 1920.
No. Yeah, that was 1920.
Which was, of course, a shorter season, though, so you have to count for games played.
Oh, that's true. His points per game in 1920 was actually 61 points in 65 games. So that's technically a better year than the 2018-19 season. So he had a couple of really strong years, and he's had 2 good years. Not so good at even strength the last 2 years, though, and it's been a cause for concern, justified concern. But he's cranked it up this year. He's just playing superlative hockey. Great passes. What's your second good thing, Bruce?
Yeah, those were beauty passes. Well, I got to go with Zach Hyman. I mean, pretty hard to overlook a night where he scores 1 goal and gets the primary assist on the other 3 in a 4-2 win. I mean, not even a secondary assist for Hyman tonight. They were all passes from him to the goal scorer, who put it away in relatively short order. Great stretch pass to McDavid for a breakaway early in the game. Like, he had a real narrow lane to thread that thing through.
Yeah.
And he just looked like, Joe Burrow or something, just firing it. So it's like a perfect spiral right through this little hole and right onto the pass receiver's hands. And that pass receiver was none other than Connor McDavid, who got behind the defense and scored on Edmonton's first shot of the game. This after Vancouver had produced some pretty good pressure in the opening minute, especially. And all of a sudden, bang, it's in there. And it was 1:20 26 of the game, and Edmonton led for the whole rest of the game. The Oilers have been playing, they've been in the lead almost constantly throughout this winning streak. They've been scoring early, they've been taking the lead, and they've been holding the lead in a lot of these games. So, and so then he, on Edmonton's only power play of the night, for too many men on the ice, Vancouver apparently committed 0 actual fouls in this game. And it took the Oilers, 50 seconds to score, but score they did. And this time it was Hyman on the receiving end of a beautiful McDavid setup after Nuge's stretch pass. This was after the power play had gone sideways for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it was one long pass, and all of a sudden Edmonton with an odd man advantage. And then the same formula on the third goal, the one you described, Nuge's long pass up the boards to Hyman, and what looked like a nothing play, and all of a sudden it was a 2-1-1 for Edmonton because Draisaitl was able to just get in front of his guy, and Hyman was able to thread it through the lane, and Leon just wrapped it home. And then, of course, on the empty netter, Hyman made the play at the blue line to get the puck out of the zone, and then just feed a nice soft pass that Nuge was able to stay onside in stride and just skate in alone for the empty netter that finally put it away. And in between times, Hyman was, to me, kind of robbed out of a goal that I thought should have counted on the
I think so.
goaltender interference. There was a number of mitigating factors on that. And the fact is the refs had to overturn the call they made on the ice, and in so doing, they ignored some of those mitigating factors, one of which being Oliver Ekman-Larsson giving Hyman a bump and changing his path through the crease. The other one being the puck had actually already beaten the goalie by the time there was any contact.
That's what I thought. Like.
Yeah. And there was an actual video review the Oilers won recently on exactly that principle. The puck was already in the net by the time the player jammed at the goalie. And this time they did not get that call. And I think there was the ref's final tribute to Bruce Boudreau, maybe. They didn't want to give him a penalty for delay a game. So anyway, we can smile about it now. I was not too happy in the moment, but this game made me nervous. It was just, it just wasn't, I wasn't getting put away to the fashion that this observer would have preferred. But anyway, Hyman did indeed make the big play in the on the empty netter as well after that. So he almost had 5 points, but we'll give him 4. And he did make, I think he was at fault a little bit on the first Vancouver goal. But so +3 or whatever instead. We'll take that kind of goal differential every night.
Yeah, he's getting he just seems increasingly skilled with the puck, as he serpentines around the ice, with his various spin moves, and he is very, very effective with the puck. And I noticed that with the whole team, Bruce. Like the Oilers had their heads up. I agree with you. Like this game was should have been put away, and it wasn't. But the Oilers' passing was impressive. They are really becoming a strong passing team right now, and it's the I think it marks their offensive game. It's just there's McDavid's speed, of course, but the passing of all these different players is fantastic. Their heads are up, and and I'm including players like from the defense too. Kulak and Barry move the puck well. Bouchard moves the puck well. Philip Broberg can move the puck well. So it's Darnell Nurse can do it. There's a whole lot of players who all over this team who can make a pass. Now that Dylan Holloway's coming on, Ryan McLeod's coming on, so we have all kinds of guys. It's not just 1 or 2 lines anymore. It's all these guys starting to pass the puck around and make plays. And the funny thing on McDavid's goal, the first goal where Hyman did make that stretch pass, is like, how the heck Connor McDavid's on the ice, right? What are you doing that would make you think it's a good idea to never be back with Connor McDavid on the right side of the puck with Connor McDavid when he's breaking up the ice? Like, what is going on in your head? where you're going to let Connor McDavid get in behind you because initially he wasn't moving that fast. And, it wasn't that kind of play where it was this blinding speed that got him ahead of everyone else. He was going fast, but it was, I can't remember the defenseman out there, but, or like whoever it was that let him go. But I don't know how that happens. Like, what a mistake. You'd think that would be job number one when you're on the ice with
Well,
Connor McDavid is don't give him a break. Like, don't let him sneak in behind you to take a pass. Like, anyway. It was Ekman Larson, but I'm not sure.
Ekman Larson was one of the guys, yeah. And they got such funky numbers. The other guy was Myers. Like, that should be a pretty good pairing. Well, Myers isn't a real speedster. But I think what was probably going through his mind at that moment was, oops, there he goes.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Okay, Bruce,
Now.
my second good thing, the Canucks got 2 late power plays in the last 10 minutes, and they didn't get, according to our calculations, on those 2 late power plays, they didn't get one grade A shot off. And there was some fantastic penalty kill work going on, particularly, I thought, by Darnell Nurse. Mm-hmm. He had a number of clearances of the puck, but more than that, he just, in front of the net, he was making all the right plays. I think he tipped one pass that was coming through the crease and got it out of the Oilers' end that way. And I just thought he just really showed his quality. When Darnell Nurse is bearing down and has a specific task to do, and he's got lots of energy. What did he play tonight, by the way? When he's got lots of energy, that guy can play some. He can play some defensive hockey. 25 minutes tonight, which is a little on the high side for my liking. But he is a strong defender. One of the reasons that people might have an idea he gets beat a lot is, well, he's always out there against the best players on the other team. You can't underestimate just how difficult that is for a defenseman to almost every shift or every second shift at least to be out there against the very best line of the other team. And he does that, and he does it, I think, pretty well. And I think he's after a defensive slump that he had, I think he's having a really good season again. He started out strong. He also went into a defensive slump, but he is playing really strong hockey during this winning streak and before that. Since about game 39 or 40, he's really cranked it up in my mind, and I just think he's playing outstanding hockey again. So good for you, Darnell Nurse.
Yeah, he's passing the puck better as well.
Yeah.
I know this earlier today, I reviewed the scoring chances from the Tampa game.
Yeah.
And in the third period of that game, Nurse made 3 different stretch passes that led to Oilers scoring chances. And generally, when we score a stretch pass, that is a significant part of that play because it's almost always a chance off the rush when a stretch pass is part of it. And of course, by definition, it's almost a long pass, or at least a pass to someone with a clear path and room to do some damage with it. So and tonight, I thought his defensive awareness was good. I thought his stick was pretty good. He prevented a couple of passes in tight and just had a pretty sound defensive low event game. But I didn't hate his game at all.
Bruce, what is your bad thing?
Oh, you're going to go first. Remember?
I'm going to go first. Okay.
Yeah, because we're doing this chronologically.
Okay. Mine is the first goal against, and it's highlighted by that most annoying of all meteorological phenomenon, the bad line change, Bruce. And we didn't actually figure out like who really was to blame on the bad line change. It was between Leon and Connor. Leon is he had actually a much worse line change leading to a 3-on-2 rush earlier that period, which was just like the most rancid line change of the year. Go back and watch that if you want to see a bad line change. It's at
first minute of the second period.
Yeah, 1916 of the. You'll see Leon going off the ice just as they're heading up on the ice on that man rush. Anyway, on this one, this was not such a bad line change, except he was going so slow getting off the ice. Connor McDavid gets on the ice, and if he had a mind to play in the puck on the stretch pass to stop the stretch pass, he might not have been able to do it without taking a penalty because Leon was dragging off the ice. But Connor didn't seem to have a mind to do that and didn't try to stop the stretch pass. So I don't know why he didn't. but maybe he was aware of Draisaitl, or maybe he just wasn't aware the stretch pass was going to be attempted. Anyway, they stretch it up the ice. So by then, 3 bad things have already happened. Draisaitl's slow going off the ice. Excuse me, 4 bad things. Draisaitl slow off the ice. McDavid not yet in the game. Hyman does his impersonation of a defenseman, and it's about what you'd expect. The puck goes right by him, and he doesn't stick with the player he's supposed to cover, and that's the player who scores the goal. So Evan Bouchard decides that he's in on the attack, and he decides, I'm going to let there's a rush up ice, and there's Zach Hyman back, and I'm going to trust the forward to be like a defenseman here all the way up the ice. Bouchard probably arguably had time to get back in the play if he hustled the whole way. And that's what you really do want to see with your defenseman. I like defensemen joining the attack rushing, but when they're done the attack, get on your horse and get back to dodge. Like, don't be coasting back. I bet you wasn't on Twitter, but I bet you a few people mentioned that Bouchard coasting back to his homes.
Came up in my living room.
It did it? I'm not surprised. And then Philip Robery allowed the centering pass. He's the least of all responsible. I mean, it was a tough play in some ways to stop because it was kind of a cross ice pass just in over the blue line. You know, there's a lot going on.
Trying to cover Bouchard's man, and it winds up being his man who basically gets in free behind him. Yeah.
So it's a very difficult.
Not perfect, but
yeah. Anyway, that was a clusterfuck, Bruce, of a goal against, and it's what got them into trouble. Because they were 3-0, 3 minutes left in the third, and they allowed that second, excuse me. And it was by that Kuzmenko, who is a dangerous hockey player. That guy he is a good attacking.
He has the puck all night.
Yeah, how many Russians come over with any kind of rep and they don't do anything? But this guy,
he's been delivering the goods. He was rumored with the Oilers at one point this summer, but.
Yeah,
I guess he saw less competition in Vancouver, but every time I'm seeing him, I'm going, boy, I wish the Oilers had got that guy, because, of course, he's just making he's on a 1-year ELC. He'll be a free agent after this year, but Vancouver's just giving him $925, I think. And there may be some bonuses, but he's a bargain. Let's put it that way.
41 points in 45 games. I mean, that's, again, there's just an endless number of Russian players who come over with big reputations from the KHL and don't do that well. Well, he's certainly defined that trend. And
some of them are Panarin and Kaprizov, and they do well. And I don't think he's quite at their level, but it's the same kind of story. He didn't come over till his mid-20s after establishing himself. And he's now establishing himself very firmly in the NHL. He'll be an interesting free agent to watch. David, I did not like Bouchard's play on that goal. And I did not like him rushing the puck for the very reason that Edmonton was leading 3-0 with 3 minutes to go in the second period. And Bouchard, the right defenseman, takes the puck all the way into the left wing corner and then loses possession behind the goal line. And then he starts to float back, but he's watching the Vancouver defenseman with the puck and trying to figure out where he's going to pass it and see if he can be in the lane. And what he really needs to be doing is busting his ass as hard as he can back towards his own blue line to provide some support. And he just kept sort of namby-pambying it, waiting, trying to read the play instead of just seeing where the danger was, which was 200 feet away from where he was when the counterattack started. And that just didn't happen. But and I'm with you. I like the defenseman rushing the puck, but there's time and place. And they were just at that point where I'm thinking, we get to the end of this. I didn't like how they were playing. I didn't like how they were losing puck battles in their own end. But I'm thinking they can get to the end of this period with that 3-goal lead intact. That's a pretty good place to be. And of course, it didn't happen on that play. And then let's see, 6 minutes and 40 seconds later in game time was my bad thing. And this, of course, was the 3-2 goal, which came off a face-off in Edmonton territory. And this was the 4th face-off in Edmonton's defensive zone in what seemed like 4 seconds. I know it was more like, let's find it, though. This was it's pretty epic. This was the 4. to. Oh, there it is. So, 1657 face-off. Oilers lost it. Puck got tipped into the netting. 1653, another face-off. Oilers won it, but then turned it over. And puck got frozen. Again, a 4-second play. And there's a third one with Draisaitl. He loses it to Pettersson, and Vancouver gets a shot on net. That one killed actually 10 seconds. And I'm just getting apoplectic because defensive zone face-off clean losses are one of the things that drive me nuts. And I'm saying, get those guys off there. Get a different center out there. So they bring out McDavid for the fourth center face-off. And, of course, he loses that one cleanly, and bang, bang, bang. And there's CC gets drawn way out to the point.
Because no one else
for whatever reason. Because I think he was covering JT Miller. It was some kind of a formation play by Vancouver that had a forward all the way at the blue line taking the one-timer. Sure worked. Bruce Boudreau must be some coach, eh? Anyway, it was an interesting play between him and surely it was Hughes on that goal.
Yeah, that was.
And it was, and CC was way out at the blue line, and McDavid, after losing the draw, was doing not a whole lot to deal with the goalie screen in front, and in fact was probably making it a bit worse by being there and not really taking the man that was causing the screen. And the long slap shot, Skinner was unsighted and it found a hole. And that was a clipboard tester, David. Clipboard tester. I whanged my new clipboard off my knee pretty hard. I said a bad word because it was 4 in a row and they just could not get the puck out of their zone. And finally it found up the net. And I'm looking at the clock and thinking, man, this is a lot of time left for a 1-goal lead. And then they mostly calmed down after that. So
I'm not surprised you're upset. Not only was that the Californian, the outside shot that, finds its way into the net, it's a double Californian because it's off a face-off. Like it's got two bad things going on. Not good at all. Yeah, Bruce, you mentioned Bruce Boudreau just a second ago. That really, there was a lot of pathos there at the end of the game when they were chanting his name and he was on the bench, probably for the last time in his life.
In tears, it looked like.
Yeah, in the NHL. Like, I don't
see a coach doing that very often, but I understand I feel his pain. Let's put it that way. And I understand not everybody's a big fan of Bruce Boudreau, filthy Bruce, but he's got his coterie of followers and fans, and people like his emotion, I think, and some people like his bad words. But he's had a lot of success in this league, but going to Vancouver has proven to be a mistake. The ownership and management of that squad is an absolute shambles at this moment. And they make firing Ralph Kruger by Skype look like a classy piece of work compared to how they're treating their outgoing coach, Bruce Boudreau.
That is a very good line, Bruce. I remember Bruce Boudreau from when he played in the Toronto Marlboros. I think I saw him in the Memorial Cup one year, if I'm not mistaken. He was a fantastic major junior hockey player. And then he played in the WHA for a little bit before short career in the NHL, long minor career. Yeah, Bruce, this says it doesn't say how many games he's coached, but since 2007 and 08 in the NHL, and he's been coaching since 1990-91 when he was a player assistant with the Fort Wayne Comets. And been a head coach pretty much every other year at the AHL, ECHL, IHL level since then. Many, many years. It looks like about 15 years since 2007-08 in the NHL as a head coach. Bruce, what is your numero?
Yeah. I'll let you go first again, David. I just got
sidetracked. I found
a fact that I hadn't realized. So
my number is 10. That's the number of scoring points that the Oilers had this game. They had the 4 goals, and on the 4 goals there were 6 assists. Of those 10 points, all 10 of them were scored by the four big guns on the team tonight. So sometimes the Oilers are criticized because they depend too much on the big guns. This actually was a total, despite the scoring, this was quite a team effort, I thought. There was lots of good play by other players as well. But the four big guys ran the roost, with Hyman with a goal and 3 assists, Nugent Hopkins a goal and 2 assists, McDavid 1 and 1, and Draisaitl a goal. So the big guys, when the Oilers, I just had this feeling, like you, I was really nervous this game that we're going to lose it. And I just felt like, for some reason, and maybe I always feel this when I'm watching it, but like a lot was riding on this game. They needed to win this game. They just needed to they need to have a real winning streak, which is better than the best winning streak of the year. They needed 6 games here, and they need to make a statement that they really are going to be pushing into the playoffs, and that they are a team, and and the battle is so tight, and it's going to remain so all year long. So there's going to be plenty of games like this, but you just had to win this. This was a must-win game for the Oilers because the Canucks were on the ropes. They're getting rid of their coach. They're in chaos. This isn't a very good team. It's not a very good defensive team. You got to win this game. And they did. The four big guys did it. The four big guys really came through. So good. I like that. What's your number?
Yeah. Okay. Well, my number is going to be 6, and that is the 6-game winning streak for the Oilers. And I thought it was the first one in several years, and then I just looked it up and realized they had a 6-game winning streak right at the end of last year. So they've tied their longest streak in the McDavid era. They also had one way back in 2015-16 when McDavid was hurt, oddly enough, and the Swedish goalie monster Anders Nilsson went on this amazing roll and stole a few games for him. But usually they get to 5 and then they kind of hit a wall at 5, and that this one has the they're at 6 now. They have a game against Columbus at home on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and then Chicago at home on Saturday before the break, and they have a chance to make a real strong dent in the standings with their run. So those games are still there to be won, but I'd like to think they have a pretty good chance at it. Tonight's game, I thought it was just a little bit of a trap game, because I knew Vancouver might be sort of emotional enough for the game because of the circumstances there. And even though they played last night and Edmonton had the night off, I just thought this is a game where the Oilers are going to need to find something in reserve, and it took nearly pissing away the lead to sort of get their attention back. But I thought in the last 10 minutes they really got down to business and got the job done, and the penalty kill unit got the job done, and lo and behold, 6-game winning streak, 31 goals for, 13 against. So that's an average win of 5-2 over a 6-game span. This was the first one of the 6, I think, where they didn't outshoot the other guys, but it was still 29-29. And what did you say it was in scoring chances?
18-14 for grade A shots.
18-14. And for 5 alarms?
8-6 for the Oilers.
Right on. I'm just interested to see what Natural Stat Trick says for all situations. They had high danger at 15-10 for Edmonton, and overall scoring chances at 34-26 for Edmonton. And so, Edmonton's on the upper side of the important shots in the game, and they had more chances than Vancouver by our metrics and by Natural Stat Tricks. And the expected goals was look at this, 4.25 for Edmonton, 2.23 for Vancouver, 4-2. What do you know? Expected goals. Everybody ridicules and heaps of use on expected goals all the time. Well, 4-2.
Bruce, the other reason I was saying the Oilers have to win this game is I had been looking ahead of the schedule. Mm-hmm. Between February 27th and March 11th, 12 days,
Mm-hmm.
They play the Bruins, Leafs, Jets, Sabres, Bruins, and Leafs.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
Whoa.
they 7 games against all teams with winning records, already good teams. So the Sabres are a good team this year, and the Bruins. It's
Mm-hmm.
I mean the Bruins and the Leafs twice. It's twice for Winnipeg, Boston, and Toronto. That is a lot of hard games. So
Yeah.
we don't know what's going to happen, and that's not you can't. They got to get a buffer now.
Mm-hmm.
They got to get some
Yeah.
points here. They got to get ahead of the pack. Don't
Yeah.
don't let the take the foot off the gas, because you have some really hard stretches this season to come, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then after that it's the Senators. They have one easy, and then they play the Stars and the Kraken. So it's that's 10 games, and one of them is against a weak team, the Senators. And man, uh, if they
Yeah.
need
Well,
14 points out of those 10 games, Bruce, they could be in trouble. Put it that way.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, they'll win some of those games, but you can't
Yeah.
really expect them to go, 4-2-1 or whatever in that 7-game set. I mean, if they do, great. But you got to think that you'd rather have an 8-point lead going into that stretch. And their chance really is stretching in front of them right now. Their next 7 games, 8 including tonight in a row, were against teams that are currently ranked in the bottom third of the NHL. So they got these 2 games at home next week before the break, and then they have a 4-game road set, but against less than powerhouses, and they play 2 morning games in Montreal and Ottawa, or vice versa, on Super Bowl weekend. And if they can bank a few more wins between now and 2 weeks from now, then they're sitting pretty. I mean, the fact they've already made it up to third in the Pacific as quickly as they have, it's very encouraging.
I do know there is one more stretch that's kind of promising, could be promising, especially if they need some points at the end. In their final 6 games in April, they play the Ducks twice and the Sharks twice. So that's if they are desperate to make up some ground and to get some points. They also play the Avalanche and the Kings then. That's a good game to play. You might want to play against the Kings. You never know. Anyway, well, Bruce.
They've already completed their season series against both Calgary and Vancouver. They play 4 games against every Pacific Division opponent except 2, and the 2 this year are Calgary and Vancouver, the 2 closest geographic rivals. So Oilers fans only saw the Flames once all year, whereas St. Louis Blues fans saw them twice last week in the famous Battle of Alberta versus Missouri. And now Vancouver fans only get 1 visit by the Oilers this season. And I'll go back to an old refrain: NHL, get your act together.
Yeah,
That's not right. That's not right.
With these losses, Vancouver's clearly
they're
in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes.
They're dead.
And the quicker they make moves and strip their team, there's 5 teams below 400 right now. The Canucks are at 4.424 points percentage. So if they can get below, they want to be in the bottom group to see if they can get Connor Bedard. All right, Bruce.
Unfortunately, they'll be playing all of those games in their Connor Bedard sweepstakes against other teams and not the Oilers. So that's not
good. Yeah, that's true. Bruce, thanks for talking tonight.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.